much money do you need to be happy? And is money even the key to happiness? These are some of the overarching questions that we all want the answer to. And now researchers from Princeton University say that they may have some insight, but their findings don't exactly align with another team from the University of Pennsylvania. Joining us now is Israeli-American psychologist and economist Professor Daniel Kahneman, who led this research at Princeton. So you came together after a study that took place several years ago. How much money do you need to be happy? Tell us about your findings.
Well, the original findings was that we concluded that happiness stops rising at an income that now would be approximately $100,000 a year. Up to that amount, happiness does rise with income. It's not a huge effect, but there is an effect. But beyond that, it was completely flat, no further effect. So we concluded this is not satisfaction with life, it's just emotional happiness. Emotional happiness no longer increases. This was our conclusion.
Interesting.
In the meantime, conclusions have changed.
Right, and that's exactly what I want to get to, because we do know that there is new research that came out by the University of Pennsylvania, and then both universities collaborated. Tell us, what the different findings were and what we know today.
Well, what we know today is that our general conclusion that happiness no longer rises with income beyond $100,000 needs qualifying. What is true is that unhappiness, misery, is sharply reduced by rising income up to $100,000, and then misery. And there is a lot of misery, even among rich people. Misery no longer decreases with income. On the other hand, people are not miserable. People who are happy, their happiness, their emotional happiness, continues to rise with income. And this is a new result and a new conclusion. And I had to change my mind on this topic.
Right, so you're basically saying that the more money that you make, if you are a happy person in the first place, the happier you will be. Okay, so
That's right.
Right, but so basically, in simple terms, larger incomes are associated with greater happiness. Explain the exceptions here, because you said if you're a miserable person, if you're unhappy, that doesn't necessarily work.
Well, what happens is there are forms of misery where extra income helps a lot. This is true for divorce, this is true for unemployment, this is true when you have elderly relatives that you must take care of. In all these situations, extra income really helps and alleviates misery. But there are forms of misery to which income is basically irrelevant. And that is true for heartbreak, for grieving, for mental illness. Right. For these forms of misery, added income does very little, in fact, does virtually nothing. And that is the finding, the claim that unhappiness is reduced by income up to a certain level, but not beyond that level. There are a lot of miseries that are not reduced by income.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. So I guess for emotional well-being, would you say, after all of these findings, that money is the be-all, end-all?
Certainly not. I mean, the relationship between money and emotional happiness is not huge. It's a slight relationship. It is positive in most cases, but it's not the be-all and end-all. We have a lot of people who live in poverty and are quite emotionally happy. Yeah. And we have, unfortunately, a fair number of people who are well off financially and are quite unhappy emotionally.